Timuka and watch as it's happening around gentlemen. I'm talking to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
And we also have Uche Norom. He is a media practitioner. He also joins us on our Gate Newspaper Review today. Thank you so much.
It's good to always be here.
All right, do stay with us. Don't forget you can join the conversation this morning. Go ahead and follow our social media handles. We are Agate Radio TV 1 on Facebook. You can also go to YouTube. It is Agate TV. We are on TikTok as well. And don't forget to visit the site. It is www.agateradio.tv. Tinubu declares a state of emergency in Rivers State. That's the banner headline. Suspends governor, deputy assembly, appoints sole administrator. Other headlines in Agate newspaper this morning. Enforce anti-open grazing law. Totiv Abamoru, Zam Udende, clergy to Alia. EFCC intercepts 8 trucks of illegally mined solid minerals in Benue. You can also check that story in Agate newspaper. Benue elected representatives are not safe, Senator Moro says. And the reps donate 705 million naira to support Tinubu's program for vulnerable Nigerians. New Tong Sankara to Jechira emerge. And still from Agate newspaper, Benue University student drowns in River Benue. Sad one there. But let's go to the banner headline today. Tinubu declares state of emergency in River State. I'll start with you, Ikem Leonard. That is the climax. I guess this was supposed to be the climax, but did you see a state of emergency coming?
Yeah, of course. I saw it coming. You know, first of all, I would say that the governor, Simi Fubara, bargained for it. He bargained for it, and for many analysts, what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did was not the right thing. But if you follow the issues that it came out in Rivers, how it started, how it went to the whole governor manning only a 3-member House of Assembly as against 31, you know, and then through the appellate court to the Supreme Court and the verdict of the Supreme Court. After that, what ensued after the judgment of the Supreme Court, it was obvious that Tinubu will, the state of emergency will be declared in that state to fix the issue of the, can I say, the second arm or another arm of government, which is the legislature. Many people were of the view that if Tinubu had wanted to declare a state of emergency in Rivers, he would have left the political structures, the elected officials in that area. But, you know, when you look at it critically, it was an issue of the executive versus the legislature. You know, so you cannot declare a state of emergency, bringing security architecture differently, and allowing these major players in the governments of Rivers State to be there fighting. The aim was to look for a solution for both the legislatures and then the executive to sit down and have a common front for peace to reign and then for the upliftment of the people of Rivers State.
Okay, I'll pick it up from there and come to Uche Norom. He says, sit down together, have a discussion, dialogue for peace to reign. So in a democratic setting, we are expecting this is the route to go. But here we are with a state of emergency. What do you think?
It's my own thinking about what has transpired in the Rivers State. Yes, we must accept the fact that things started on the wrong footing, with the governor destroying the State House of Assembly. In fact, after that, other things followed. And then it got to the climax of the Supreme Court judgment that say all structures must maintain status quo. Everything must go back to where it started from. And then the governor was told to dissolve the elected local government chairman, which he did, and to represent the budget. And he started that process. But at the point, the other members of the Wike controlled assembly members, tried to frustrate him from doing that. I think, like the president had told them that they should go back. Even when the PANDEF met with him, he told them they should go ensure that there's peace in Rivers State. And the governor started that peace process. And but yet again, I think what climaxed or what led to that state of emergency was that reception that was held for the Minister of Federal FCT in Calabari. I would say that was what climax, yes, took us to where we are, because there were violence. I watched the video on my Facebook, how some people were. But if you saw what happened that day, lots of policemen, soldiers were brought in. I said, for just a minister, you think that was the president that they were heading the reception for? I said, wow. Soldiers were brought in, large number of policemen, and certain a group of Calabari youths were supposed to also have a program that very day. They were denied access. And they went to the street protesting, and then the police even shot at the young ladies, women, older women. The police shot at them, threw tear gas at them. Some of them were even hospitalized. And after that, the president now declared a state of emergency. But more to this is that what I see playing out in Rivers is more of a political thing. All this happening there is ahead of 2027, because the presidency wants to get Rivers at all costs. At all costs. Rivers is a very big, the votes that comes from Rivers. If you're able to get Rivers, get Kano, and some other states, other big states like Lagos, you win. So they want to get Rivers State at all costs ahead of 2027. So this other issue of the state of emergency is just, for me, I don't see it as just it's a plow, so to say. It's just by the wayside. It's not something that should have happened. I mean, there was no insecurity. There was no serious insecurity in Rivers State. There was no case of. There was no breakdown of law, so to say, law and order in Rivers State that would have granted that state of emergency. And the people have argued the constitutionality and unconstitutionality of the state of emergency that have been declared in the states. So I see it as more of a political thing than just a security issue.
Okay, talking about the politics at play in Rivers State, Ikem, do you think this is a build-up to what we are going to have in 2027?
Definitely. Politics like government is continuing. After a round of elections, politicians are bound to prepare for themselves against another election. So it's just like farming. Once you finish harvesting this particular season, you plan ahead for another farming season. So everybody is prepared, not only in Rivers, everywhere. Like my co-speaker said, what climaxed in Rivers is not only that the presidency wants to get Rivers in 2027, but the issue of political structures is also very important. It's just like I said earlier, farming. When you build a particular structure for yourself for quite some time, you wouldn't allow somebody to just come overnight and throw you overboard.
Right.
You are supposed to be there. You are supposed to maintain it. So what is happening in Rivers is just happening in any other state, including Benue. Only that it's not too pronounced in other states the way it is pronounced in Rivers.
Okay, so do you think this is a solution to what we have going on in Rivers State, the unrest? Do you think a state of emergency will get us to that safe space? Definitely.
I heard the Minister of FCT, who is also who has also been mentioned prominently in the crisis, calling on the governor to come together with the members of assembly so that they could have a roundtable discussion, iron out the differences, and even meet with the president to lift the state of emergency. Because you see in the amended order by the National Assembly before they gave their approval, they said that they added that once those issues are, the state of emergency will be lifted. So I heard and I saw on live television the Minister of FCT calling his political godson or whoever, Governor Simi Fubra, to come for a roundtable discussion so that they'll be able to meet with the president to lift the state of emergency. So I feel it's a good step in the right direction to me. Without this issue of state of emergency, they wouldn't have had that opportunity to sit down and iron out their differences.
Right.
It is an opportunity that the president has given to them to make peace for themselves. So I think everything is cool with it.
Okay, so he just said without the state of emergency, we wouldn't have a situation where the parties would sit down and iron things. Do you agree? Because this means that anytime we have an issue, we should be looking out for a state of emergency.
Well, to some extent, I will agree, and
Yes.
also disagree, because when the Supreme Court judgment, the governor has already started implementing the Supreme Court judgment until this time. So that means the governor also wanted peace.
Yeah.
He also wanted peace, because for him to go, okay, we saw what played out when he went to represent the budget, the issues that they had, the issue of poor communication between the executive and legislative, that wicked so-called controlled assembly faction, said that he was not, they didn't communicate to him. So that means they were not willing to bring about the peace. The other faction of the assembly were not willing, because the government has started initiative for him to even have the, to dissolve the elected local government. We are dissolved. That shows that yes, he wanted peace.
All right. So let's move to another top story here, and it is coming from Senator Moro, allegedly saying that Benue elected representatives are not safe. I'll start with you, Leonard.
Yeah, I not only elected representatives that are not safe. Everybody in Benue State is not safe. I guess except the governor because of his regional security around him. But I would say that nobody is safe in Benue. People that are sleeping, the clergy are not safe. We've seen so many instances where even the clergymen have been kidnapped. And we've seen attacks on even churches. Currently, we see the wave of attacks around Gwe, Kwande, Otukpo, Agato, and so forth. So, for him saying that elected representatives are not safe is true. I mean, also coupled with what has transpired in the last few months, where about 2 National Assembly members were attacked at, I think one at funeral and the other one another function in Makudi local government and Guma local government. It is his right to have said that they are not safe.
All right. Do you agree, or you beg to differ that that's
no,
the situation?
I agree completely with him that the wave of insecurity in the state has reached a crescendo. That nobody is safe. You can't sleep with both eyes closed. You have to sleep and you have to be on alert, because anything can happen anytime. And there have been so much killings, issue of kidnapping. And only last week Wednesday we had the kidnap of an inspector of road safety in Chaka local government area. So there have been issues of insecurity. The responsibility of every government to ensure lives, to secure lives and security of the citizenry. But when this is lacking, then government really have to do. I'll keep saying, the governor needs to convoke and do that as a matter of urgency. A State Security Council meeting. But sorry to say that since this government came on board, that has not been heard. It's supposed to be heard more frequently, but it's unfortunately it has not. Then also called stakeholders meeting. Seek suggestions from Benue people on how to tackle the issue of insecurity. Seek their advice, seek their counsel, so that this wave of insecurity will be down, and then people can be safe to go about their economic activities.
And talking about the insecurity and finding solutions, they told Steve Abamoro, Zam Udende clergy to earlier enforce anti-open grazing law. We've talked so much about this, but do you think this is a way out for us as well?
Yeah, we have been on this very station and other stations too, wondering why the government of Benue State under His Excellency Father Alia has been dragging their feet to implementing or enforcing the anti-open grazing law. It is quite unfortunate that this thing has reached the climax it is now because of the attitudes of the government towards enforcing this law. We can if you throw this thing back in the day, you see when the former governor Otom was on seat. We've seen situations where the then volunteer guards were sent, and cattle or cows were prevented from publicly grazing into people's farms and all that. We've come to terms with the present government, where we've seen even vehicles or trucks that were meant for such patrols being converted to haulage trucks, and I'm sorry to say that the attitude of the present government towards enforcing that law has been snailing, has been lacking. I was when I heard the governor clamoring for an enactment of a federal legislation banning open grazing, I laughed. I said, at least this is double standard. You have a law in your state that you are supposed to put in force to checkmate the activities of herders grazing in the open. You have refused to enforce that law. When the activities of the herders started first, about some months ago, the government enforced. See now, if you move everywhere close to boils down to cannot live on the same piece of land. You must restrain one, and since cassava doesn't live on the same piece of land, you must restrain one. And since cassava doesn't move, it is the cattle that moves that you have to restrain to pick it away from the cassava land, ending insecurity. Unfortunately, that has been lacking.
Okay, we'll take just one more top story here, and then we'll move ahead to another paper this morning, and it is EFCC intercepting 8 trucks of illegally mined solid minerals in Benue. Now, just to give a background, we have like 34 solid minerals in Benue. Are you even aware of that? Because, yes, and then we have people taking this out illegally. What do you have to say about this?
Yes, it's a good development, because I know that when this government came on board, and the governor said on several occasions that they will not allow illegal miners to operate anymore, that they're going to clamp down heavily on them. And it's a good thing that they are doing that, and ensuring that mineral resources, mineral deposits in the state are not just taken away like that. The right thing needs to be done. If they want to take away mineral resources, you should do it through the proper channel. The government must give approval for that, and then you come in, mine, and also pay for mining the resources of the state. That's one of the ways that the government can generate. I commend the EFCC for that job. I passed through the EFCC and I saw lots of trucks there. I guess those are the trucks that we have seized. If you go to the EFCC office, the trucks are packed there, the illegal mined products. So I think I appreciate the EFCC for that. They should be more alert to ensure that the resources of the state are not just taken away illegally and then just illegally and then wasted. People should ensure that they do the right thing, and so that the state can grow.
That's right. And on that note of the state can grow, I'll come to you, Mr. Ikem. Do you think we are leveraging enough on the solid minerals we have?
I seem to understand illegality on its broader aspect, but when it comes to mining activities in the state, I don't understand. I don't know why the state government is so involved. If you look at the issue of mining, issue of mining falls under exclusive list, which the state government has little activity to play. When incidentally, this place is coming. Incidentally, this place that they are talking about mining happens to be my place. I am also part of the place where there is high mineral deposits. I come from Kone, where there are mining ilmenite, lithium, and some other gold and some other precious minerals. And directly, my community is involved. So I know we've seen a situation where government is trying to generate revenue illegal. What I'll say is, I want to put it in a way that everybody will understand. The amount of money, the attention government is giving on the issue of mining in Benue State is only about making money that is not even enshrined in the Benue State Revenue Edict. Now, they said there's a ban on mining activities in the state. But at the same time, I saw on Facebook page of the executive secretary of the bureau that said people who had already mined are allowed to take those mineral resources that they've mined out of the state, paying a fee of 1 million or 1.2 as the case may be, depending on the type of mineral. And then when you look at the whole revenue edict of Benue State, you will see that the draftsman of that law has forgotten to include those exorbitant fees they are calling in the law. So whatever happens to me, I know that there are processes that you are supposed to mine. You start with the federal, with the community, you prospect, you have your own cadastrals covered, you go to the Federal Ministry of Mines, cadastrals office, you get the procedure completed, you come back. Once you are given the exploration license, you come back and meet the community, and you also inform the state. This is a situation where we have seen a situation where people, the local community is totally kept out of this negotiation. For some of us who are also indigenous of these places that their mining activities are going on, we're also accusing those that are in mining complicit as in the insecurity that is happening.
Yes.
The insecurity that is happening in the state, because
we just have to add allegedly to it.
Yeah, because what I see is that, like in my place, Kwani local government, you will see Onwase is you see, if you go to Kwani, you see Onwase, you see the places that these people are mining are not being attacked. And and then they are far inside inside of the areas that these headers or these criminals that are attacking our people are staying. But they will leave them behind, come in the front, and attack people, attack local farmers, leave them, go back, and then you see these people carry out their normal activities. They are mining, they are loading. Heavy duty vehicles are going there. Nobody has been attacked, but the people in their front are being attacked.
Okay, so you feel like something is going on that needs to be checked.
Definitely, I feel that apart from the issue of EFCC getting those trucks,
yes,
I think that the security should check the activities there, or if possible, ban the activities of mining in Kwani local government and other affected local governments till further notice. Otherwise, what the government is saying, they ban activities, what they are calling illegal miners, I feel that it's not their own definition of illegal miners are people that are not from them.
Okay, we'll hold that thought. I know Mr. Uche wanted to come in, but we have to take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll be back shortly on Agate Newspaper Review. Please don't go away.
Keep watching Agate Television.
Keep watching Agate Televisions.
Big shout out to Agate Television, Sky's your limit.
Keep watching Agate Television.
Keep watching Agate Television, one of the best in the whole city of Makurdi. Peace.
Hello, my people. Keep watching Agate Television. Watch out for more.
Agate Television, we love you.
Special shout out to Agate Television.
Agate Television, you're the best. Shout out, peace.
Shout out to Agate Television. I love you. You're the best.
Best channel, all the fun, the live shows, the best of the best you can get.
Agate TV, one of the best rising televisions in North Central Nigeria, which everybody should actually look out for.
Welcome back to Agate Newspaper Review. It has been a great time this morning and more to come. Today I have with me Ikem Leonard. He is a public affairs analyst. Thank you for staying there.
Yeah,
and of course, I also have here with me Uche Noram. He is a media practitioner. So good to have you here, by the way. And right before the break, we were looking at mining activities in Benue State from Agate Newspaper. And before we move to the next paper, Uche, you are disagreeing with something that
yes,
mentioned.
There was certain part where he talked about the resources being controlled by that all resources have been controlled by the federal government. But I'd like to say that yes, they are controlled by the federal government, but where it is deposited, the state or the locality where it is deposited, it now belongs to the state. It belongs to the people first. That locality first will remit to the federal government. So it's not the whole say that that resource that is deposited belongs to the federal government. The state has control over it. They are the ones that control it, and they, whatever they generate from there, they remit certain percentage to the, but larger percentage of it is for the state.
All right. I know this conversation will continue if I leave Ikel.
Definitely.
From that paper. And now let's move to the Guardian newspaper this morning. And from the Guardian, the banner headline, 1,102 local vessels rely on Ghana orders for routine maintenance. Still from Guardian newspaper, those behind war to lead LNG market. I'll evaluate Tinubu's government on my terms, Soyinka declares. And still from the Guardian, Nigerians spent 509 billion on electricity in 3 months amid poor performance. Rivers Group drags Tinubu to ECOWAS, insists on reversal of emergency rule. Democracy not working in Nigeria, say Obasanjo, who has ditched your 2023 alliance. Ohanese tells Tinubu, and then more from that paper. But let's start from electricity in Nigeria. Ikem, Nigerians spent 509 billion naira on electricity in 3 months amid poor performance. The numbers.
I would say we don't frown at these figures anymore, because there's always been an issue with our country. We just pray that someday we'll get out of it. But for now, when we see them, we don't frown at them. It has become a new normal. The issue of electricity in Nigeria has been a very big challenge since some of us grew up. We have never had a steady power supply for some time, and that is why most small-scale businesses are even falling off because of power challenge. I can't really understand, but I think that if anything state of emergency is worthwhile, it should also be declared on the power sector. I have seen the issue of power being tackled by several administrations since 1999, but no one seems to have gotten it right. So we need a total declaration of emergency on the power sector to see that these monies that are some, except if the government is using the importance of power supply as a conduit, to uplift their own personal pockets. You hear a lot of trillions, a lot of billions being spent on electricity, yet you see none. In less than 2 or 3 weeks, you have total collapse of the national grid, and then you hear the following day you see newspapers churning out a lot of figures that this is what the federal government has also sent into electricity for weeks, and then the following week it will be the same thing. So if when Tinubu was campaigning, I think the issue of provision of power was one of his major campaign promises. He said, if he doesn't give us these basic things that he's talking about, we should not re-elect him. So I'm holding him by his own campaign promises that if this issue of electricity is not fixed, then he's playing cards with his own re-elections, because he promised us that. So we want to hold him by his words. But it's quite regrettable that this much amount of money is going into a particular sector and it is not working at all.
Okay, Uche, so where do we begin to get it right? Will there ever be a day when we look at electricity in Nigeria and say we have done better?
Where do we begin to get it right? It's rather unfortunate that the issue of power has become a recurring decimal in our national life. Right from 1999 up to this very moment, no government has gotten it right when it comes to power sector. all these big promises. Every government comes, make promises. Some will come, set up committee on power investigation to investigate the power sector, and at the end, those the white papers that come out from there are just thrown in the waste bin. We never see any. We don't see them. They don't see the lights of day, and we don't know what is happening. Like he said, each time, and just under this administration, the national grid has collapsed more than 3 or 4 times, just in less than 2 years of his administration. It keeps collapsing. Each time they will tell you this is all responsible. This is how much they have used to maintain it, to repair it, and these are those stories we keep hearing. But one thing is still certain: the willpower to do things right, to get it right, is just not there. These are just rhetorics that we hear on a daily basis. Each government
so
to
when
come.
you say the willpower, who's
doing the right
yes,
thing, doing the right thing. That's the federal government doing the right thing. They know may lip service, playing on Nigerians, selling them lies, and deceiving them that we have the ability to do this, to get things right, when things are not done rightly. So there should be that willpower to do things and get it done right. If they want to do something, if the federal government wants to do things honestly, they will do it.
Okay.
But hitherto, set up committee, you ask accounts, gives account for anything. And that is why we are still where we are. We are still in this position. See how many years more we are still talking about. We know that countries, other climes, they have steady, even Ghana here, by the time Ghana enjoyed a full, almost a year or two, steady power supply. But Nigeria, that's the claim to be the lion of Africa, the giants of Africa. We're still talking about electricity.
All right, and talking about Ghana, let's go to the banner headline in The Guardian this morning. 1,102 local vessels rely on Ghana, others for routine maintenance. And as reported by The Guardian this morning, Nigeria loses $148 million yearly to other West African countries for vessel maintenance. Ikem.
That is why where you know that we have what the education we value in Nigeria is more a theory. We believe in going to school, having a lot of papers and certificates, but certificates that don't create value, that don't have value. I'm sorry to say that we are not into practical education. When you hear countries like Ghana and some other small West African countries being countries that we are relying upon for maintenance or vessels, you begin to think where the name Giant of Africa has even emanated from. When you talk on globally, we are talking about the best engineers. They mention Nigeria anywhere in the world. We are talking about best doctors anywhere in the world. They mention Nigeria. But coming home, why is it that we are relying on other African countries? Globally, when Nigerian engineers, medical practitioners, and even journalists, all people are rated on grade 8 power, and then coming home, we can't make use of those people. There's something is wrong somewhere. Apart from not being involved in practical education that will depend so much on theory, I bet to differ that this thing, the issue of over-reliance on other countries is self-made. It's self-made, because if you are an engineer, you won't just move to the government and start maintaining their vessels or any other persons there. You need contracts to maintain these vessels, right. And then you see power plays a lot. Our people feel that patronizing local content is not what they will not benefit them that much. So they believe in bringing expatriates or bringing people from outside so that they can call any amount of money they want. They prefer to deal in dollars. They don't want to deal in naira. But they know that once they are patronizing local content, the naira will be involved. And most of the people at the top there, I'm sorry to say that they hate the name naira. They want to deal in dollars. So not as if we don't have the qualified engineers or persons here to maintain our vessels, but the politics behind surrounding the whole operations.
All right. Okay, let's move away from the Guardian newspaper now. Let's take a look at the Punch, because you mentioned Naira, and banner headline in the Punch this morning: Naira for crude talks, Dangote refinery, others may import $1.4 billion crude monthly. NUPRC weighs a solution to NNPCL cruise shortage claim. Tinubu panel may meet before Salah. And still from the Punch newspaper, power generators fear collapse over 4.7 trillion naira debt. Obasanjo, Kuka, others allege Nigeria's democracy failing. Wike camp dismisses Atiku coalition, woos PDP bigwigs. And then still from the Punch newspaper this morning, police intercept 488 AK-47 rifles, arrest 2,000 suspects. Makinde plans suit as Oyo, a Sharia panel begins sitting. Ogun Attorney General, AIG clash over murder, land grabbing case. Oshun clashes, 3 gunmen arrested as a delicate talks tough. So much is happening in the Punch newspaper this morning. But let's start from Obasanjo, Kuka, others alleging Nigeria's democracy is failing. This is almost in all the papers this morning, so we can touch on it. What do you think?
Yes, they spoke at a colloquium in honor of Emeka Ihedioha, who was one time governor of Imo State, but he was removed. 60th birthday, and all those big political shots, the big wigs were there. Obasanjo, Kuka, Peter Obi, Atiku, they were all there to air their views on what they think about Nigerian democracy now and democracy in Africa. And Kuka was the first to speak, and he said Nigerian democracy is a work in progress, which Peter Obi disagreed and said no. He said no, the Nigerian democracy is for a select group of persons. That is not what we are practicing is not democracy in the real sense of it. That's the democracy where there's no rule of law. There's no who will not obey the rule of law. The judiciary is be untwisted. They give judgment as it pleases the paymaster. Look at what is happening in the Rivers State. That is why we have a crisis everywhere, because the National Assembly is not independent. It's an appendage of the executive. Whatever the executive tells them, that is what they do. The state governments too, playing their own part too. The Supreme Court Supreme Court gives a judgment. That's the highest court in the land, the highest court in the land, gives a ruling on local government autonomy. What happens? The state governments are not obeying. They have refused. Instead, they are saying no, they cannot obey. That the local governments will continue to remain an appendage of them. They will continue to milk the local governments. So, with all this that you see happening, you can't say this is democracy. What's happening? When it comes to the definition of democracy, democracy is for the people, by the people, and for the people.
Okay, somebody will argue with you that democracy is growing in Nigeria. Even if the steps are slow, there is a growth. Will you agree there is a growth?
Well, it's maybe to a certain extent, maybe some growth, but I believe that it should have been, but you will say it's a snail speed growth. But let's see things. Let there be indicators. Clear indicators that yes, democracy is thriving. Do we have freedom of speech? Is there freedom of speech? Yes, to a certain extent, there are freedom of speech, but in another way, your freedom is also inhibited.
So let's see more. That's what you're saying. I really like you to touch on this, Ikem.
Yeah, to me, Nigeria is our country, and we always hope for the better. Democracy has not failed us completely. If you gauge from 1999 to today, there are some steps that the country has taken that at least better off than when we had democracy in 1999 to 2003. There are some little steps that the country has taken that have at least have shown indices of good development. But we'll keep saying we need to grow faster. But the statement was regrettable for a former president of this country not seeing anything good about the country. I think it is not proper. I think Obasanjo, as one of the first civilian president when democracy returned in 1999, should be one of the stakeholders to educate the youth to keep faith with democratic rule in the country. I understand with Peter Obi, and because he has been a victor and a victim of the system, because how he won his election in Anambra too. If we want to question democracy too, you have to begin to question how he came to become the governor of Anambra State. Yes, he lost in the last presidential elections, and there have been allegations that he was rigged out, and I think he's still carrying out certain grievances around him. So by talking about Nigerian democracy in general, in as much as we are growing steadily, I think that at opportunities like the colloquium, we should try to bring some policies, aid the country in bringing out issues that can make us grow more than staging.
Crude talks. Dangote refinery orders may import $1.4 billion crude monthly, and the Punch reports this morning. This means that the refiners may spend.
You cannot force or compare operating modular refineries to sell in naira and then buy crude from you in foreign currency, in dollars. I don't know why the CBN is not also coming in as a good player to intervene in this ugly situation. Yes, they are the bankers bank, but they also have to regulate monetary policies in any country. So you cannot tell me that I am buying something from the government in hard currency, but I am compared to sell in naira. When at every minute naira there's devaluation of naira, every minute naira is running down from dollar. And then I also say that if Nigeria wants to be very serious about strengthening the strength of naira in the foreign market, first of all, they are the people that are supposed to sell the crude in naira, because if any country wants to buy in naira, because crude oil remains our strongest foreign exchange commodity. So now, if we decide that every country that is buying, even if you are coming from England, you are coming from US to buy crude from Nigeria, you should change your currency into naira and patronize us in our local currency. I think naira will have become a very strong currency in the international market. But for Nigeria, trying to sell an indigenous company refinery crude in dollars in another country's currency, definitely. And now, because the refinery or the company is not in agreement with them to continue paying them in dollars, they have also said that, okay, if we must pay you in dollars, then we'll also say in dollars. So who is going to lose? I think that is an issue, is a monetary policy that the CBN too is also supposed to come in and regulate with the NNPCL and the other major players of the modular refiners to make sure that we come back to patronize our local naira and also make sure that it becomes stronger in the international market.
Okay, so in 1 minute, Uche, where do we go from here on the talks, naira for crude, and so much money being spent in that industry?
Where do we go from here?
Yes.
Where we'll go from here is just one. The basic thing is that we ensure that there are supply. It was one basic thing, because what causes all this, because there's shortage in supply, and then there's need for us to export the crude from other distant, and then using the hard currency. How difficult it is, and as I said, the naira keeps devaluating on a daily basis. Today you hear is 1,000 this, tomorrow you hear different amounts of money. So the burden is much on the marketers. The burden is on them. You buy in dollar, then sell it in naira.
All right.
And you're in a business. How do you make profit?
Well, we'll leave with that question. How do you make profits? Thank you so much for watching Agate Newspaper Review this morning. I'd like to thank Ikem Leonard, Public Affairs Analyst, for joining us.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to thank Uche Norom, a media practitioner. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here always.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget that you can follow us on all our social media handles. It is Agate Radio TV 1 on Facebook. We are also on YouTube, Agate TV, and on TikTok as well, Instagram. Just go ahead, like, follow, share, and keep watching and keep telling us what you feel about everything we talk about on the newspaper review. My name is Shido Taka. Do have a wonderful day and join us again.